Good evening, guys. Kenneth Tortoise Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast for January 9th, 2024. Start with the hybrid swing portfolio, 30-minute charts. This is Alcoa. This blue box represents the 5-day look back. These are the various trades, entries and exits, and the duration of the trade. And then the yellow box represents today's price action. And then the top and that bottom of that box represent mechanical entries in case of a breakout from the yellow zone. So if it breaks out from there, then we set mechanical entries for the breakout if we're going to trade that symbol. In this case, we would trade that symbol. No signal, no trades today in Alcoa. Although you'll see that in the sniper trade of the day. That turned out to be this up, and down and up. Turned out to be tradable on the 3-minute bars, as you're going to see when we get to there. AI, we closed yesterday's COTA 2 for a little over an hour. Caterpillar, we closed the 1, 2, 3 entry after the big gap down, but then when it sold off and resumed, we re-entered when it crossed back above the Bollinger Band mean, and we're holding 2R overnight. Cliff, we got short on the collapsing dragon, cashed half an hour. CVS, no trade. Disney, collapsing dragon on the big gap down and sold off hard, and we're holding 3R overnight because it cleared the support level at 90, and we got a nice cushion. So that's runaway freight train to the downside. Devon Energy, we had the adverse gap and covered the short, or covered along, excuse me. Emerging markets, no trade. This is an example of the enormous gaps that emerging markets typically have, why we don't hold it overnight. Ethereum, a 1, 2, 3 entry, but basically a scratch, not much. Mexico, we covered that one yesterday. Here was a big gap down, and it continued to sell off. And so we took the standard short with a standard risk and covered that for 3R in the last half hour. Brazil tried the same short, maybe held it a bit long for a scratch. Intel, 1, 2, 3 entry, scratch. IP, we closed yesterday's long for about an R. Real estate, no trade. Actually, the trade was actually this one. We were holding it from up here, and then on the overnight trade, and it gapped all the way down to here. So in that case, the market's cushion protected us against losing money, although we ended up giving back a good chunk of that gain. Coke, on the gap down, we exited the long for 1, and then when this rolled through the dragon and PSAR flipped, we got short and captured half an hour. Regional banks covered for a half an hour loss. McDonald's, this was another example of why we like to cash them when we got them. This gapped and sold off all the way down to here. We took a 1, 2, 3 entry when it crossed back above the VWAP and hit the Bollinger Band mean, and we're holding this one long with 3R in hand. A real slave ride. Merck, emerging dragon, retained an R, sold it at the VWAP. Microsoft, we re-entered after the morning hook and cashed a little over an R on a nice run up as part of tech. the tech move today. Marijuana, short on the crossing of the Bollinger Band mean after this whole thing rolled over, and it gave us a little over an R, and we exited after the R10 reversed back up. We took the dragon skin exit. That's turning out to be just an outstanding routine exit. Nike, we closed the long for an R. NVIDIA, we added a second position after yesterday's really nice run up, and that just kept going. And this is the power of having that really tight stop on the initial risk, because that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8R on the first one, 3R on the second one, and then as it started to roll over and collapse, cash in 11R in 2 days felt like that was enough. Clean energy, no trade, looking weak for tomorrow. That's good. Rivian, we closed the long after the sell-off was initiated and it was coming back to the Bollinger Band main. We kept half an hour. You can see the S&P had the big gap down, had some real strength intraday, but then gave it all back in a tactical sell. This is feeling like double top and a pause coming. Treasuries stable. Tesla, the adverse gap caused us to turn the 1R win into a fractional loss. When it fell out of the risk box and collapsing dragon, we got short and got an R back after the initial panic selling. Walmart put the second position on the COTA 2, and that's closing real well. That's also about 11R, and it's based on that early small risk here that quickly got into the money and stayed there. Tomorrow, I'm expecting to see a test of this price level. If it can break through 160, then it's a new 30-day high, and that should be interesting. And finally, U.S. Steel. We got the rollover dragon skin entry and 1R exit by the close. Pretty happy with that performance today. Oh, here. Some sniper trades of the day. So these are all on 3 minutes. This is NVIDIA. Here's our opening. This is like a quick frog because we waited 30 minutes. Broke out of that opening range 3. That's also the size of the standard risk. So we are long. Took a fractional gain on the PSAR exit. COTA 2 re-entry. Same risk. Second position on a 2R battle drill. PSAR exit, COTA 2 re-entry. 1R win, COTA 2 re-entry. Half an R win. Collapsing dragon short, 2R win. That was just as orderly a move as you could want. And we total that up. We end up getting 0.5. That's about 4. That's 1. That's 0.5. That's 2. So that gives you 5, 6, 7, 8R. NVIDIA. And no overnight risk. This is Mexico. EWW. 3 minute. Yesterday's close. Big gap down. Here's the opening range 3. It continues to fail. So we're short. Here's the standard size risk in Mexico. 2R battle drill second entry, and PSAR exit, and SSE reversal. So this one scores 1, 2, 3, 4, 5R for this one. 2R for that one. So we're looking at 7 in hand. SSC, scratch, stop and reverse short, 1R, and that's all. Total for the day, 8 in Mexico. This is in Alcoa on 3 minutes. This one is at about 10:45, and so this is an opportunity trade intraday. And what we've got is like a WMB3 to the downside. You have a overbought condition. You have the MACD histogram rollover. And when it gets lower, we go up here, and then we put in an entry just below the low of that bar, which also coincides nicely with the PSAR. So we put our stop at the stop of the dragon. There's my 1R risk. This thing works right away. When the R10 rolls over, I take the skin of the dragon exit for 2R. That now sets up the WMB3 in the other direction because we're overbought. Here's the uptick. We follow that up to the high of this bar. So now we can buy a breakout above there. It doesn't break out. What it does is it sells off, makes a little doji, and then breaks out here. So we get this entry with a risk to the bottom of the RL10. So you'll basically see that as in another bar, it crosses the PSAR anyway. It gives us a fractional gain. I thought about the re-entry once, twice. I took the WMB3 this time because we had it oversold. And this is the first place where it ticked higher. So I went to here. And then this was the bar that broke out. So I buy it here. Standard risk down to the PSAR. Fractional gain. This one, I get a collapsing dragon. And I get a WMB3 to the downside because it was overbought. Here's where it's ticking down. It PSAR flipped. It had a lower high in the RL10. To our battle drill. A 1-2 exit. This was a money management exit. It had already retraced more than 1R on each position. Exited there. Here's the PSAR flip and a WMB3 entry long in the usual way. And that returned 2R. So when you total up the WMB3 trading today, standard work. It gives 2R on this one, half an hour here, scratch. 4 and 2 for a 6. And 2 more. So 2 and 6 is 8. And 2 is 10. 10.5. On a symbol that was simply oscillating inside its normal channel. Standard work for standard times. There wasn't much traction there for a 30-minute bar we saw from the swing, but it's possible when you dial it down to the 3-minute to get some goodies. Only one chart posted for feedback. This is George, does a great job on a Kata 2 long, and he's holding an R in hand, and he's going to hold a continuation for tomorrow for Amazon. I think that's a good play. That's the second day of upward pressure. It cleared some important resistance over here and has held support nicely, and it's in the summer and just drifting into fall. So I like that one. That's good work right there. Take a quick look at the reports. The RL 150 is still holding nicely here, ready to break out above the 150-day high. This is what we would call the fireworks, because you're in the upper overbought region in the top 10% of the 150-day look back, the 30-day look back, and the 10-day look back, and you just had this explosive move that goes. Now you're wondering, does it fall out of this quietly to the ground, or is there another surprise boom and go? So that's what we call that, the fireworks. That the breakout from this compressing range is an extraordinary one, with potentially. So we like that. And you can see that today was not a bad recovery day. It actually, we got the belly of the RL10, and it closed pretty well here. And it's a short distance to the 150-day high. So all it's got to do is get through 478, and up it goes. Overbought on all conditions, bullish normal, favorable volatility. Lots of signals in the auto framer, some breakouts to the upside in Merck and Nvidia. Nvidia just showing great strength, along with Walmart showing great strength. Weakness was only in energy. The ETFs have even more trade frames on the auto framer, and a good number of dojis, and plenty of channeling and overreaction signals too. So this is a target rich environment, with the breakout continuing in XLV. That's noticeable. Lots of auto framers to choose from for those of you swing trading one day at a time. Lots of good daily squeezes, including Nike, Euro Asia blend, and Intel's pretty close. So as are diamonds, mid caps, Brazil, and the small caps. So there's a lot of good big symbols ready to break. Being dominated by the fall still, a little bit of recovery going on. And then you can see the winners and losers on the 2-day and 10-day. Materials and energy still suffering. And that's all we got for today. We'll get this published and posted, and we'll get them tomorrow. Take good care.